So it was about last year this time the guy decided to bust through the wall and create a double-sized Fishy Business that you see up front. Well, it hasn't taken him long, in fact less than a year, and he's already cut another hole in the wall. What we just walked through was where the fish are. Where we are right now is where more fish are going. That's right. So imagine this, if we didn't have enough fish tanks to clean, we didn't have enough algae to scrub, we didn't have enough fish in here already, more tanks are coming in immediately. As you can see, Hayden is not doing what he normally does, which is cleaning reef tanks and saltwater tanks and everything else. And that's the culprit right there. That's the culprit right there. So yeah, so watch this space. We'll get on to the video and I'll see you at the end.
Hi, it's Kevin. We got a bunch of nice new freshwater fish in for you this week, and a couple other things that we want to touch up on too to clarify a few things. This is a flower horn cichlid. We got it in a bunch of small flower horns and they look awesome. There's a good variety of color variants of them. Not sure exactly what colors. These are all obviously different color strains that we got in today. These guys are going to live together like they are now for now, but they're going to need to be in a big tank, preferably by themselves as a singularly kept fish. They are often so territorial that they will destroy anything else in the tank with them. We have in a good selection of good-sized blood parrots. They look great. One of the main reasons why I wanted to do them this week, though, is to point out to you that all these guys have been rehomed because they were sold as a community fish to the people who bought them, and they're kind of aggressive fish. They are a man-made hybrid between a red devil and a gold severum. Gold severums are fairly docile, yes, but they are a lot more aggressive than most community fish, and it's really hard to predict the behavior of these fish. I've seen some of them attack and kill Oscars. I've seen some that peacefully live with tetras. That's as vague as I could possibly be, I know, but it's really hard to predict the aggressiveness of this fish. All these guys have been returned here, though, because they were acting aggressively towards tank mates. So choose tank mates accordingly. Speaking of cichlids, these are the electric blue Jack Dempsey's, one of my personal favorite freshwater fish. There are a lot of conflicting things about this fish online. If you Google them, you're going to get a cornucopia of information, some of which I may or may not agree with. There is no exact science to this hobby, however, but I can assure you that I've seen some specimens that were over 10 years old and never saw one that was actually over 8 inches. They are a different color morph of your traditional Jack Dempsey, and most of the information that I've seen from research online actually was giving the statistics of the natural occurring Jack Dempsey, not necessarily the electric blues. These guys are not nearly as aggressive as their regular counterparts. They do really well with most semi-aggressive fish, and they usually will get stomped by most more aggressive South American cichlids. One fish that generally is pretty common in the fish trade, and one of my all-time favorite schooling freshwater fish, would be the black phantom tetras. These guys came in looking pretty good. They will reach their full color potential after you've had them for about a month or so in your tank, though, actually. The males will have much longer fins than the females will. The females will have red fins, whereas the males will have black. This would probably be one of your most bulletproof answers as to what an excellent fish for a starter new tank would be. These are giant danios. These are some of the most bulletproof fish in the hobby, excellent for starting out a new tank, but also excellent to have as dither fish for some semi-aggressive fish as well. These guys usually top out about 3, maybe up to 4 inches, and get a bright blue and gold striping to them, but they are excellent for starting out a new tank. These came in looking incredible. These are opaline gouramis. It's a different color variant of the common blue gourami. They do get about 5 inches max size, sometimes even bigger than that in rare instances. They are semi-aggressive, generally do very well with tiger barbs and large tetras. This week we got in a very good selection of small rainbows, all assorted rainbows, lots of different colors of the rainbows. We got in millenniums, we got in emeralds, we got in turquoise, we've got in praecox, we got in bosemani, we got in a lot of different rainbows. These fish are all imported. They're going to color up to their maximum potential the longer they're in your tank, of course. Black water extract really brings out the color in these fish incredibly well, as does a little bit of aquarium salt. These guys, in their behavior or temperament, I would describe them as being kind of semi-aggressive. They usually will hang in well as good dither fish with some semi-aggressive cichlids and the such. Really cool minnow fish. We got in this week some nice looking ember tetras. These guys do wonderfully, especially in larger schools. They do excellently in planted tanks. They very seldom get over an inch long, and the color red just gets more intense the longer they're in your tank. Excellent, cool fish. We're getting spring fever here. We're starting to stock in the pond fish on a small scale so far, but we'll be expanding on that greatly soon. We got in some nice, about 4 to 5 inch imported koi. These guys look really nice and will look excellently in a large garden pond, especially with the sun shining on them. One of my favorite pond fish is definitely the shabunkins. These are a calico variety of the comet goldfish. I love calicos because they all look different from each other. They've got all kinds of different colors in them. They've even got purple in them. They do get up to about a foot long in a big enough pond though, so make sure you've got plenty of room for these guys. We got in some really cool oddball fish. We got in some giant autocinclus. They aren't just very large regular autocinclus. This is actually a giant autocinclus. They can reach up to about 4 inches, maybe possibly in surplus of 4 inches, but not much more. They are really highly desired as a fish for an algae-eating fish in a planted aquarium.
Hi guys, welcome to this week's weekly update. My name is Reagan. I'm the saltwater fish manager here at Fishy Business, and so I'm going to be showing you some of my top choices of some fish that I got in for you guys this week. Before we do that, I'm still going to point out a couple of fish that are a little bit more rare and a little bit pricier, if you will, just because we do want to still be able to offer you these really cool, definitely rare, exciting fish. And so I know I touched on it for the first time last week, so we're going to keep that going. I have a couple more to show you, so I'm definitely going to do that first, and then as soon as I get done talking to you about these cool fish that we can order in for you, then I'll show you some of the stuff that I already have here in the store. Hey everyone! Now I told you I'm going to talk to you about some of the fish that are available for us to get you this week, kind of like we did last week. The reason why we're doing it this way is because these fish are more rare and they do have a higher price point. They are more expensive. So if you see any of these that you are interested in us getting for you, definitely call the store, ask for me. My name is Reagan or Hayden. Reagan or Hayden. Those are going to be the two people that we're leading up this project for you guys. So definitely call the store. I will say these fish will come in on Tuesdays, so just keep that in mind. So the fish that I'm going to point out for you this week is going to be your red-tailed trigger. Your red-tailed triggers are typically the most reef safe of your trigger fish. They are also typically a pretty peaceful trigger fish as well. The two sizes that I can get for you guys are going to be your larges and your extra larges. And just like I said last week, I don't have an exact size, but this is a very trusted vendor that we use, so I know that the sizes are going to be true to size. The next fish that I'm going to point out is going to be your blue face koi tang. So it's going to be a koi tang, a blue face koi. It looks, there's a picture that you'll be able to look at. It's got like the body of a scopus. It's a zebra soma tang. You don't see a lot of koi tangs in the hobby. That's definitely more of a rare thing that's just been popping up. Next is going to be a beautiful sohal tang. I can actually order sohal tangs in the size extra large. These are going to be a super big tang, definitely a tang that you want to add last into your tank. So if you've been trying to figure out one more fish that you want to put in your tank, jump on this Sohal tank, because you really don't see them for sale all that often. So it's cool that we're even able. And like I said, it's going to be an extra large. Next up is going to be a Haller's Round Stingray. We do have stingrays available to us. We can get those for you. But this is going to be a medium-sized stingray. So if you have a really soft substrate and you have a lot of running room on the bottom of your tank, you can even get a stingray to put into your tank. So we have those. And then we still have the Achilles tang on the list. We typically can get those for you anytime. Achilles tangs are super beautiful. They are a very rare fish to have in the aquarium trade at the moment. And those are gonna be medium sized, but they're gonna be adults already, so they're already gonna have that nice orange spot on their bodies. And then one more fish that I wanna point out, we can get in queen angels. Queen angels are one of my favorite angels in saltwater fish in general. They are absolutely stunning. I do have a size on this one, and it's gonna come in about 8 inches. So it's gonna come in a big size. I would say that's a large to extra large already. So definitely hop on board if you've been wanting a really nice big bodied angel. So those are the fish that are available for us to get you to come in next Tuesday. If you see anything that you like or have anything that you want that maybe I didn't show, call the store. Again, ask for me, Reagan, or Hayden, and we'll be able to help you out with that. So now, let's go look at the fish that I already have in the store for you guys to come pick up. All right, guys, so first up this week is gonna be this beautiful wounded wrasse. It is a Halicoeres wrasse, and generally speaking, Halicoeres wrasses are pretty peaceful. This guy can get along with most fish. I would recommend it be for a fish-only tank, as it does have a very big appetite for inverts. Crab, snails, and shrimp, things like that. If you don't mind members of your cleanup crew going missing, this guy would be absolutely phenomenal. They get a beautiful pink color, as you can see right here. And the reason why they're called wounded wrasses is as they mature, on the top part of their body, under their dorsal, they'll actually get a spot that's half black and half red, and it looks like they're wounded. So that's how they get the name wounded wrasse. But this one's super beautiful, has a lot of color, and that's been doing very, very well for me here at the store. Up next is this beautiful emperor angel, and as you can see, this one is a changing emperor angel. She's already starting to get her beautiful yellow color on top. They will lose those really nice semicircle white stripes, and they become blue and yellow horizontal striping down their body. I'll have Kat put an adult picture of an emperor angel right here on the video so you can see what they change into. She has been doing very, very well for me. Angels in general, especially your larger bodied angels like this emperor, these guys do have a diet that consists of coral. So, most people choose to keep these in a fish-only tank since we don't want them munching on some of our expensive corals that we have. And they do get fairly large. They get around 10 to 12 inches, so a super big angel. Typically not a super aggressive angel like your other big-bodied angels. Your emperor is going to be beautiful, and especially because this one's already in the changing process, you'll get to watch her grow up and change completely into her adult colors. So here we have another big-bodied angel, but this one is an adult Koran Angel. She's already super big. She'll grow a little bit more, but not a whole lot. Definitely, again, fish-only tank, and Koran Angels can be more aggressive. So I would recommend only bigger, more predatory, aggressive fish for the Koran. They will pick at some of your smaller fish and bite them and things like that. So I do want to make sure that we put her in an aggressive tank only, where she'll be able to fit in very well. She is eating absolutely well for me. She is absolutely beautiful, has that really nice greenish, yellow, and blue highlighted markings all over her body. She is absolutely stunning. You don't see them this large for sale very often. So definitely take advantage of the fact that we do have an adult Koran Angel and come on down and pick her up, because she is going to add not only color, activity, but a lot of personality to your tank as well. All right, guys, so I'm gonna point out a trigger. Y'all know they are my favorite, and Homeboy is gonna hide because he thinks we want to eat him. This is the Picasso Trigger, an absolutely striking trigger. Definitely one of the most popular triggers in the aquarium trade based off of their coloration. Now, he gets that name Picasso Trigger because he looks like he's been painted on with all those different colors, the blues, the yellows, the oranges, the grays, the browns, and just the really cool patterns that you can see on his body. Now, Picasso triggers, and especially this individual in general, are mean. This one is extremely mean. It unfortunately has been returned to me a handful of times. It's not his fault, due to no fault of his own, except that he is a mean fish. I would definitely recommend fish only for them, as they do eat inverts, crabs, snails, and shrimp. And a part of their diet that's very important, and a reason why inverts with shells are a part of their diet, is because these guys have teeth that are always growing. So they need things like clams on the half shell and those inverts in the shells to help wear down their teeth. Otherwise they can become overgrown, and then they'll have a hard time eating in general. I always want to make sure that when we get a trigger, we do go home with some of those clams on the half shell that we do have here in the store. But I absolutely adore the Picasso triggers. They have so much personality. They will swim up to the glass to meet you and things like that. I absolutely adore him. So if you have a tank with mean fish, this individual in particular would be absolutely perfect for you. All right, so a very common and well-loved fish in the aquarium world is going to be your Sailfin Tang. Your Sailfin Tangs are a very hardy tang, and they do well in fish-only tanks as well as a reef tank. A lot of people have these guys in with their coral as they are deemed reef compatible. Sailfin Tangs have that really nice bright yellow tail and then the striping on their bodies, and they have that super big sail fin dorsal and caudal fin, which is where they get the name the Sailfin Tang. These guys are a zebra soma tang, so they do work well with other zebra somas. Just be careful of what you choose. Sailfins in general are not a super aggressive zebra soma tang, but they can pretty much live with most other fish that you would like to have in your reef tank. Sailfin tangs, like I said, are super hardy and they do very well. You can pretty much put a Sailfin tang in any type of aquarium. Alright guys, so this is your flame hawkfish. They do not get very big, and they're called a hawkfish because these guys don't actually have swim bladders like your fish. So what he'll do is kind of like that. He'll perch on the bottom, he'll perch on the rocks, and then he'll kind of just scoot along in the water to get from point A to point B. Flame hawks are absolutely beautiful. A lot of people do like to have them in their reef tanks, although as a hawkfish, an occasional cleanup crew member might go missing. They typically don't do it very often, and that's why people do have them in their reef tanks, just because they don't often eat a cleanup crew member. Hawkfish are carnivores, so meaty foods for them, and since they don't get very big, the mysis shrimp works very well for them, as well as like your fish frenzy or your reef frenzy. But definitely a bright pop of color in your tank that doesn't take up a whole lot of space. Alright guys, so this is actually pretty rare for us to have such a big specimen of a tessellata moray eel. You really don't see them this size available all that often. This one was in fact a trade-in from a very trusted customer of ours. She is gorgeous. Tessellata moray eels in general are a more aggressive moray eel. Most of the time, if you keep them really well fed with only super big fish, it will be fine. That being said, this one in particular, I want to go ahead and let y'all know up front, is a fish eater. This one has caught some of their fish and ate them, which is one reason why she is back in the store with us. So, I would completely recommend having a tank specifically for this eel in particular. Sometimes it works out with other fish, but this, like I said, this specimen, she is mean and will eat your fish. So, if we want to do an eel, definitely I recommend setting up a tank, and she needs to be the only fish in that tank. But at this size and price point, she is stunning, beautiful, quite the showstopper, and like I said, we don't see them this size very often at all. So now is your chance to own a super gorgeous, already tank adapted tessellata moray eel.
You did the wrong thing.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video. I wanted to show you real quick also the new 60-gallon tanks that came in. We've never had these because they've never made these. This is the new 60-gallon breeder, and Chase decided we needed not one but 6 of them. So while we do have new tanks coming in, and while this is the month of new tank sales, you might want to check out the 60 breeder. It's a deep 4-foot tank that's very shallow. Perfect for fragging corals. If some of you out there have turtles, things like this, it's absolutely perfect. Or maybe you just want a shorter viewing. So anyway, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week. Watch, there is a grind coming out Monday. We haven't done that in almost 2 months. And the new self-help videos will follow. So have a great weekend. God bless. We'll see you back here next week.